think it is time to go ahead and get started. Hey, welcome to At The Track Live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics, you ask? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about physics, about aerodynamics, about drag, about lift, about kinetic energy, about potential energy, about force, about friction, about Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, and a whole range of topics, including the scientific method. And once I've taught the students the science, once we've conducted experiments, then it is time for the ultimate experiment. I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student picks a car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the science portion of the program. And then once they've picked their cars, they examine their cars, they weigh their cars, they take pictures of their cars, they enter information into a spreadsheet, they check the speed of their cars. Then we set up a tournament. We have a 20-foot drag track, and the students race their cars, and they observe how their cars perform. Did their car perform up to or below their expectations? And based on those observations, they determine whether or not they would choose that car again if they had the opportunity. And we have a lot of fun. We learn science. We learn about physics. We learn about aerodynamics. And we get to race Hot Wheels cars. So what could be better? But that is All About Aerodynamics. And if you want more information about All About Aerodynamics and our science program and how to bring our science program to your students or your organization or your special event, all you have to do is go to our website, AAAerodynamics.com, and you can find out more information. You can contact me, and I can tell you everything you need to know so that your students can experience All About Aerodynamics. But this isn't all about aerodynamics. This is At The Track Live. So what is At The Track Live? At The Track Live is something that was born out of something I had to do for All About Aerodynamics. So before I can bring in all the Hot Wheels cars in for the students to use, I have to make sure I know which cars I have in my fleet, which cars I have that I'm bringing to the school, which cars the students are using, so I can make sure that I bring those same cars back and have them available for the next group of students. In order to do that, I have to make sure that I have cataloged every single car that I'm bringing in. And currently, there are 639 cars. I don't bring all 639 cars to each school. I bring about 400 for them to choose from. But what happens is, like most Hot Wheels enthusiasts, I end up buying way more Hot Wheels cars than I have the ability to enter into the catalog and the spreadsheet. And until I enter the cars into the spreadsheet, there is no, I can't do anything with them. I can't bring them to the students. I can't make them available for them to select until they've been entered into the spreadsheet. Now, what I usually did before At The Track Live is I would just grab up a bunch of cars, because there are multiple bins just full of Hot Wheels in my storage area. And you know, I'll go to the store, see a car, oh, that's cool, I like that one. Oh, the students would like that one. And I grab it, and because Hot Wheels are only $1.25 now, it's easy to just pick up multiple cars on every trip. and they sit in storage. So what I would do is grab a bunch of cars out of storage, sit there, crack them open, weigh them, or not, I didn't actually have to weigh them. The students do that. Take the picture, take the video, and the reason I take the pictures and the video is because there is an online version of All About Aerodynamics, and the students have the opportunity, students who aren't there in person have to use the pictures and the videos to select their cars. So I would just sit there and take a picture, take a video, put the information in the spreadsheet, and it was pretty boring. I knew it had to be done, but it was boring. So thought, how can I turn something I have to do into something that's fun to do? And that ended up with AtTheTrack.live. So what happens is each week I break out from the storage about 6 new cars. We crack those open, take a look, and do a little quick review. While we're doing the review, I can shoot the video, I can shoot the still picture, and enter the information into the spreadsheet. Once we have all those 6 cars cataloged, then it's time to take them to the track. So the track's all set up, ready to go. We'll take those 6 cars out there, have a mini tournament, and determine which car is today's winner. And there is also the opportunity for the winning car to take on our champion car. And our champion car is what we call the fastest in fleet. And currently, the fastest in fleet car is this one. It is the Draftnator. And the Draftnator has been our champion for about the last 3 weeks or so, and has beaten all of the cars that have challenged it. And we will see today if one of the cars that wins our tournament is going to be fast enough to beat the Draftnator. And the Draftnator has proven to be a pretty fast car. And it's not, it's likely that among the 639 cars, 638 minus the Draftnator, it's likely that there is a car that is faster than the Draftnator, but we haven't found it yet, and today might be the day that we find it. But there is also the opportunity for something else to happen. If you go to AtTheTrack.live, you will see 3 options, and one option will be the Twitch stream link, the other option will be the YouTube stream link, but the third option will be one that says choose a car. If you select that, it will take you to this page. And on this page, you will have the opportunity to choose a car. And all of the cars are listed. All of the cars in the fleet, all 639 cars. And you can scroll through and you can see the cars and you can examine them and you can figure out which car you think is going to be faster than the 6 cars that I introduced today. And if you find that car, all you have to do is select the number, and let's say you go down and you pick, let's say 501. Car number 501, this one, the Chaparral 2. You can click on that and you can take a look, and I remember this one from a few months ago. It is, I think this one was from the early 90s or mid to late 90s, and it is metal on metal. It's a smaller car, but it was pretty fast. Well, if you think that the Chaparral 2 is the car that is going to be faster than the other cars that are in the fleet that I've introduced today, all you have to do is take the number of the car. In this case, it's 501. You take that number, you drop it into the chat, and then I will pull that car. And once I pull that car, we will take it to the track and we will race it, and we will see if the car that you've selected can beat out the cars that are newly introduced, and ultimately if your car can beat the Draftnator and become our fastest in fleet car. So that is what we've got going on. Look at this one. I remember this one, the Flattery. This car, and you can see why it's called the Flattery. It is an extremely flat car, and it didn't win, but it didn't do terribly, from what I remember. So there are so many different types of cars. Here's another Batmobile. There are lots of Batmobiles, plenty of Batmobiles. If Batmobiles are your thing, all you have to do is scroll through and find whichever style of Batmobile you want. We have Batmobiles from Batman the Animated Series. We have Batman Arkham Asylum editions. We have the Batman Batmobiles. We have the one from the original Batmobile from the TV show in the 60s. We have a mini Batmobile. There are tons of Batmobiles, and so all you have to do is search through the pictures here. Once you go to that link, again, AtTheTrack.live, AtTheTrack.live, you see it right below me, AtTheTrack.live, and then select choose a car, scroll through, find the car that you want to pick. We've got fantasy cars, we've got real cars. I mean, just right here on the screen here, we've got an 86 Ford F-150. That's a Matchbox. There's very few Matchbox cars in here, but there are a few. I like this one. So we've got this 86 Ford F-150, an actual pickup truck that existed. But then right below it, we've got the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. So we've got fantasy cars. We've got this Rally Cat car, which is another fantasy car. We've got the Group C fantasy car, which is clearly a fantasy car. But right next to the Ford, we have the Millennium Falcon car. And if you watched the last episode, it was on May the 4th, and we ended up doing a May the 4th Be With You special edition, and I had more Star Wars related Hot Wheels cars than I thought. So we pulled out all the Hot Wheels, about 6 or 7, at least 6, maybe 7 Hot Wheels cars that had Star Wars themes, and all the races were Star Wars themed, and we crowned a May the 4th Be With You champion. And we also were able to introduce a new car, because as I was talking through the Star Wars related cars that I had, I knew there was an X-Wing fighter car that I had, but for whatever reason I hadn't introduced it into the fleet. So I went digging around and I found it, and we raced it, and it is now in the fleet. Sorry. It is car number 639, and I'll show that in a moment. But just looking at this row here, we've got this Lamborghini, and that is clearly a car that actually exists. Right next to that, we have this 2020 Camaro ZL1, which is the Bubba Wallace, the Black Lives Matter NASCAR. So again, this is actually it's neither a Matchbox car nor a Hot Wheels car. I forget the company that makes these, but it's 1/64th scale, and I had it. And again, I have a lot of cars. As long as the cars are 1/64th scale and don't have rubber tires, I can introduce them. Now there's this off brand that I've seen at Walmart that is clearly kind of knockoff Hot Wheels, but the cars are pretty much all plastic. They're definitely a lesser quality than Hot Wheels cars, and I don't tend to race those because the plastic on plastic usually means that the car will be faster, but it gives it an unfair advantage, which is what I've found over the Hot Wheels cars, which tend to be metal body on a plastic base, or vice versa, with a plastic base on or plastic body on a metal base. When I go back and listen to the video, I'll realize if I said it correctly, but it's either a plastic body on a metal base or a metal body on a plastic base. Some of the older cars are metal on metal, but I don't tend to go with any plastic on plastic cars. We've got this trouble decker. This was one that surprised me. It's the tallest car that we've ever raced on our track, and I was concerned that it was going to fall off, and it actually stayed on the track and went down. It wasn't fast, obviously. I mean, it wasn't faster than the cars that it faced, but I was just surprised that it made it down the track at that height and those dimensions. So we have the Mustache, which is the car with the flip out. It's this one right here. I don't know why I still have it just sitting here, but it is the car with the flip out mustache. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. The Mustache. Okay. But if you want to pick that car, you can pick it. If you just want to see how these cars performed, then all you have to do is go to you can go to AtTheTrack.live, and you can find the YouTube link, and if you click the live tab on our YouTube channel, you can see all of the episodes. And I've gone back and begun adding in the time markers and doing it. I was just told a few weeks back, someone explained to me, one of the viewers, how to actually create chapters, and so there was one step that I was leaving out that prevented me from having chapters while you're watching the video, so you could just skip to the part that you wanted. So I'm adding those in, so as you're watching the other videos, if you just want to see how the Honda Spocket performed, then all you have to do is watch the video, and you'll see the time code and the chapter marker. Go right there. If you just want to watch the races, if you want to see the reviews, or if you want to watch the whole episode, whatever you want to do, it's all right there. Just going to scroll down and show you. This is the X-Wing fighter car that was introduced on our May the 4th Be With You episode. And I actually saw one of these. Hot Wheels or Mattel had someone build a full-size version of this, and I have the pictures somewhere. I'll have to dig those out. There was an event at the Mattel Hot Wheels headquarters last year, and this car was one of the ones that was there. It was pretty cool. Okay, so again, if you want to select a car, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, go to choose a car, and then you'll be taken to this page. You can scroll through. If you find a car that you would like to race against one of the cars that I'm going to introduce, all you have to do is take the number, enter it into the chat, and I will pull that car, and we will see what happens. You can also follow everything that's happening with All About Aerodynamics and AtTheTrack.live via our Instagram account at AA Aerodynamics, and there are lots of things. I just did earlier in the week a preview. I sometimes do a preview show on Instagram, and I can't show the races, the track, because Instagram pretty much just only allows, when you go live, that vertical orientation. And when you see the way our track is set up, it just wouldn't translate. You wouldn't be able to see anything at that size and that orientation. But there are some things. Usually it'll be predominantly preview shows on Instagram. And so we did one earlier this week where I showed off some of the cars that are going to be introduced today. And clearly I'm going to have to narrow this down, because we haven't been here with AtTheTrack.live for the last 2 weeks, because I was out of town, and I left on a Friday, and then I came back on the following Saturday, which basically made me miss the 11 a.m. start time for AtTheTrack.live. Well, when I was out of town, I was in Georgia, and like I said, when I go into a store, I'm going to go down that aisle to see what Hot Wheels cars are available, because sometimes if you go to different areas, you'll find different cars than what you find in your area. And that was the case. I went to a Walmart, and the Walmarts here in the LA area, the few of them that there are, don't often have many cars on the pegs. It's just not something I've found. But when I went to this Walmart in Georgia, maybe I was just there at the right time. It was kind of midweek. It was late morning, and everything. They had all kinds of cars. All the pegs were full, and they had a whole wide range of cars. And so I was looking through and picked up quite a few cars that that caught my eye. And if you saw the preview show, you saw that there were probably, I think there are 12 cars altogether. And I'm just going to take 6 today. And then we're going to take those 6, race them, see what happens. So let's go ahead and I'll start with the first car. And this is kind of interesting because I have had this car for a long time. And it is, let me get it up here. It's very unique, very interesting. It is cut to it. It is the Wheelie Chair. And it is a wheelchair. And it's actually the wheelchair, and the whole idea behind it is there is a guy named Aaron Fotheringham. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. Fotheringham. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, but basically his nickname is Wheels, Wheelz. And this car, as you can see on the back, it's got his logo on the back, Wheels, is basically a Hot Wheels version of the wheelchair that he's in. He does not have use of his legs, but he has use of his arms, and he's in this wheelchair, and he's doing these incredible stunts. He's basically, excuse me, he's listed as an extreme wheelchair athlete. So if you think of all the stunts that you've seen people do on skateboards and BMX bikes at X Games competitions, on the huge ramps, he does those same kinds of stunts, except he's in a wheelchair. And it's pretty amazing. If you haven't checked out his video, you can find him all over. Just put in Aaron Wheels, or you might even only have to put in Wheels with a Z. And he does these incredible tricks, flips, and turns, things that you just wouldn't believe that someone would be able to do in a wheelchair. So it's pretty incredible. Well, anyway, Hot Wheels made a Hot Wheels and Aaron Wheels it's called the Wheelie Chair. And if I move the little thing that's keeping this in place, you can see that it tilts up and does this. And I just had fun like spinning it around like that. Just one of those things, almost like a fidget spinner, a Hot Wheels fidget spinner, and I just, kind of have fun with it. But it never occurred to me to try this thing out on the track until recently. So when I was in Georgia, I saw this one, and I have a few of these, but I just like the color scheme on this one. And so I decided to give it a shot and see if it would, in fact, stay on the track. So I did a little test run, and I only did one, and I didn't test it. I mean, maybe that was a fluke, but I tested it once, and it stayed on the track. It made it all the way down to the finish line. So I thought, okay, if it's actually going to make it down the track, then it should be in the fleet. So again, I don't know if that was a one-off. I don't know if this is actually going to work out, but it worked once. I like it, and it's going to stay into the in the fleet. Let's see. Scan back. Hey, track time. Yes, I'm in Los Angeles, and went down to Georgia, to visit my mom for Mother's Day, and picked up some Hot Wheels, of course. So this is going to be entered in the Aaron Wheels. This is the Wheelie Chair. This is going to be car number 640. And again, sometimes I'm surprised when certain cars make it down the track, because it is a bit unexpected. Let me just go ahead and get the video here, because any of the students, this is one that they will really need to take a look at before they select. And it's a car that they probably wouldn't select, because I had it, and I've had it for a few versions of this for a few years, and never considered that it was actually capable of making it down the track. So this is why you have to actually race the cars, and this is the exciting part, because it reminds me of the Minecraft minecart, which was essentially it is just a box on 4 wheels. And just the size of it and the shape and the weight, I never thought it would make it down the track, but it turns out it made it down the track, and it made it down the track pretty quickly. So, okay, great. See, the LA Hot Wheels community is very strong. See track time. So yeah, this is a unique. So I'm hoping that when I send it down the track the first time, that wasn't an accident. I'm hoping that was just typical, and we'll see, because it seemed fast, but I didn't race it against another car. I just wanted to see if it would make it down the track. It did. So now it's part of the fleet. It is car number 640. It is the Wheelie Chair, and now I just need to get the still picture for the students who will be viewing this in our online program. Let's get a good 3/4 view here. Turn it just a bit. And get it centered up a little bit more. Oh, and how about if I put some get the lights on it? Yeah, this car is deserving of some lights, cameras in action. Let's go here. There we go, brighten it up. I thought something was a little off. All right, now we'll get this picture. And yeah, very good. All right, so we've got the Wheelie Chair, and that is our first entrant today. We have 5 more to go, and I picked up quite a few. Like I said, I was surprised that I just walked into this Walmart, and there it was. All right, so the next one up, and this one. So here's the thing. When you go to LAX, if you are leaving out of Terminal 5, there is an FAO Schwartz store in Terminal 5. And I don't even know if FAO Schwartz, I know they used to have their big flagship store in Times Square, but it might be like Toys R Us, where there are pop-up shops here and there, but I don't know if FAO Schwartz still exists. But they have an FAO Schwartz store in Terminal 5 at LAX, and they have a part of their wall full of Hot Wheels cars. And every time I go in there, I always see cars that I haven't seen in my local Targets or Walmarts or grocery stores. And that's the positive part. The downside is that they charge $5 for basic Hot Wheels cars. And now at this point, I just know if I'm going to Terminal 5, I just take $10-15 because I might see something that I want to pick up. And sometimes the cars, I'll buy them there at Terminal 5, and then it'll be a few months later, and then eventually I'll see them in the store, and I'll think, man, I could have just waited. But then sometimes I wait and then don't see those cars again, and then I have to buy them at the Hot Wheels swap meet, or I have to buy them online, and I end up paying more than $5 anyway. So this was a car I picked up. I may end up seeing this in the stores, but I hadn't seen it so far. And it is the Jaguar MK1, which is a design based on an actual car from the late 50s, I think, late 50s, early 60s. But this one I picked up at the FAO Schwartz store in LA at LAX. So it's not one of the Georgia finds, but since it was part of in the whole scope of the Georgia trip, I picked it up. We're going to crack it open, and it's going to be entered into the fleet. So let me crack it open. All right, let's get it over here on the turntable with the lights up, and we will go ahead and take a look at this one. And here we go. So let me zoom in, and I will take, let's go 1.45. All right, and I will take the still picture first. Make sure I've got a good 3/4 view. And I did change the angle to get a bit higher because it's pretty important that students are able to see the back end of the car, because on our launcher, which I'll explain later, the shape of the back end of the car is very important. And move this light. All right, get this thing turning here. Switch over and grab the video. This is the Jaguar MK1. Why it's got the X's over the headlights, I don't know, but I kind of liked that too. 641. And usually I would be hoping for a more bold, flashy paint scheme, but for this car I kind of like this. I think it was intended to be perhaps silver, looking at the packaging, but this gray doesn't turn me. It's grown on me, but it definitely caught my eye, and I had to pick it up. So we've got the Jaguar MK1. Looking at the rear end of the car, I see how it's got those 2 posts on the bumper, and the car actually, it does seem a little narrow, and narrow cars don't tend to do as well on our track. But if it can stay straight, if it can get a good solid launch and stay straight, then it has a shot, and we will see. All right, got the Jaguar MK1, and we've got the Wheelie Chair. So let's see, where is another one? This other one that I picked up, it's funny that I picked it up because the actual car that it's based on, in my opinion, is one of the ugliest cars to have ever come off a production line ever. And this is the Hot Wheels inspired version of it, and it is the custom Pontiac Aztek. If you've ever seen one of these in real life, it is, I mean, just my opinion, I think they are horrible. Whenever I see one, and I don't see too many these days, but whenever I saw one, 10 years ago or so, I always thought when they were in the design process, you clearly had a team of people and a group of people, and I'm sure they had research and focus groups, and people signed off on this, but that's just me. Now, if the car actually looked like this, maybe I would have had a different take. But if you were a fan of the show Breaking Bad, the Aztek is the car that Walter White was driving in the first, few seasons, or before he became, got all Heisenberged out. But nevertheless, I'm going to crack this open. We'll take a look at the Pontiac Aztek Custom. Because when I first saw it, I wasn't thinking Pontiac Aztek. I was thinking this was some kind of hatchback, some kind of Subaru hatchback, perhaps. But no, it was in fact a Pontiac Aztek. So let's take a look at this. I've got some smaller lights on the way that will allow me. Let me go ahead and shoot the video. Take a look at this Pontiac Aztek Custom. I like the paint job. I like the wheels. I like the stance. I like the spoiler. Yeah, exactly. Breaking Bad. And maybe this is the version that Walter White should have been driving after all those blue crystals hit the streets. But he could have just gotten an upgrade. Let me see. So this is going to be car number 642. This is the Pontiac Aztek Custom. And I didn't check the year, but it's definitely going to be 2023 or 2024. And this one may have a shot on the track. I haven't, let me check. I'll check the weight after I shoot the still picture as it comes around here. But, all right, we've got the video, so students will be able to get a nice 360 degree view of this. And now let me turn it to get the still picture and drop that in here. You can see Walt's sunglasses and hat. Nice. Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, if it actually looked like this, and it's funny because I saw the name, and I'm thinking, I think this is the car that I've been deriding all these years as one of the ugliest cars I've ever seen. But this couldn't be it. And so I had to go back and actually look at some of the pictures, and sure enough, it is the Aztek. But this is definitely a version that I wouldn't mind seeing and having one in real life. So let me check the weight on this just to see where it's clocking in. And this one is 31.6 grams. And if I compare that to our current fastest in fleet car, the Draftnator. Draftnator is 32.4 grams. And while I'm at it, let's see how much the Wheelie Chair. See how much the Wheelie Chair weighs. The Wheelie Chair comes in at 27.5 grams. So the Wheelie Chair is lighter, but there's a whole lot of reasons why the Wheelie Chair may have an advantage or a disadvantage. We'll find out when we hit the track. All right, so we've got the Wheelie Chair, we've got the Jaguar MK1, we've got the custom Pontiac Aztek, and let's see. I picked up a few trucks. I don't know why, I just always grab pickup trucks. But the problem is that usually I can tell when the off-road wheels are kind of pushed out beyond the body, it's not going to fit into the track. This may fit, it may not, but I set aside, I'm just going to show you some of the cars that I picked up that may be a little too wide to fit on the track. This Fast and Furious Ice Charger, so it is just a Charger, but it's the one from the movie, and it was modified so you can kind of see that the fenders are flared out and the tires stick out a little wider than normal. So this may or may not fit into the launcher. Haven't checked it out. But I have, there was another pickup truck. Yeah, another pickup truck. This 23 Dodge Ram 1500. And at some point I am going to, because I designed the launcher, I may have to design a different launcher, or a launcher specific for the wider cars, because I do want to have races with trucks, but typically in the launcher the trucks are a little too wide. So let's see what else I picked up in Georgia. We'll go with this. How about, we'll go with this Gran Turismo 73 BMW 3.0 CSL race car. And usually I don't pick up too many of the I guess this would be considered a premium car. Any car that I have to pay more than $1.25 for, premium car, at least in my mind. But I usually don't pick them up because they tend to have the real riders and the rubber wheels, and the rubber wheels, there's too much friction and they don't do well on the track. But if I can find the premium, more premium car with plastic wheels, then it's good to go. This one has plastic wheels, so it's going to be entered into the fleet. So I'm going to crack it open and let's take a look. I didn't see the Gran Turismo movie, but I heard it wasn't bad for a movie based on a video game franchise. But all right, this car seems, let's see here, get this set up here. That looks good. And let's go ahead and take a look at get the focus right. There we go. Lock in the focus. And it's actually a pretty good view. Let me turn it just a little. Good. Right there. And bring it back. Just a bit, just a hair. There we go. All right. Orange. I also tend to, among other things, like as I pick these cars up and I look through the cars I have, the cars I'm considering buying, I notice that I do tend to have, you can start to see kind of trends and themes, and I definitely rarely pass up orange cars. And I don't know if that's because of the color of the Hot Wheels track, or if it has to do with the fact that my college, Syracuse, the colors are orange and blue also. So that accounts for the orange. That's why you see so much orange and blue. It's because the Hot Wheels track, orange, the little connectors are blue, so orange and blue there. And then Syracuse, the colors are orange and blue. So maybe it's something in the back of my mind just always has me gravitate towards orange cars. But here is another one, and I am going to enter this. This is going to be car number 643. I still haven't done the calculations to see if it's going to be possible to make it to 1,000 cars by the end of the year. But 643 is nothing to nothing to sneeze at. So this is the 73 BMW 3.0 CSL Race Car. And I will check the year afterwards. And with this one, I don't anticipate it being all that fast. It seemed a little heavy, but I'll actually weigh it and see. I have got to get the other. I ordered on Amazon. I have some smaller lights coming in because right now you can't see it, but the way I have to reach around to this bigger light. Okay, so it weighs in at 33.9 grams. So it's not too heavy, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does well, but it just it's a metal body, plastic base, and something about it. I think in this group, although it's an odd group because we've got the Wheelie Chair, we've got the Jaguar, that Aztek. I think if I had to bet right now, I would probably go with that Aztek. I never would have thought, but we've got 4 cars so far. We've got 2 more to introduce. Let's go with... So here's another one that I picked up. I already have one, but I kind of like this one. It was the McLaren Solus GT, and this is the Zamac edition. And the Zamac is an acronym for the alloy, zinc, aluminum, something. But I don't remember what that is. But I picked this up. I like this car, but I have one, and I have one in the fleet. And I said that I don't want to have duplicates. But what I am going to do in the coming weeks is have the... I mentioned this. I got the idea from 80s wrestling. The loser leave town matchups that they used to have in wrestling when there was a good guy and a bad guy and they couldn't get along, and the whole situation, this town isn't big enough for the both of us, and then they'd have a match and the loser would have to leave the territory or the federation. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have some situations where I take the duplicate cars, have them face off, and the one that wins gets to stay. The other one gets sent off to the prize bin for one of the students to have and select at a later date. All right, next up for the car that's going to be introduced into the fleet is this one. This is a really nice casting. The Pagani Zonda R, and this one I am looking forward to seeing perform on the racetrack, but let's take a closer look because this is a really nice, they did a great job on this one. Let me crack it open. All right, let's see here. Move this big light out of the way. Put the car here. Oh, this is really nice. Looks even better under the lights. Let me switch the view over, and lock in the focus, and shoot the video. It's got this deep, I don't even want to say red, like more of a burgundy color. It's not really necessarily coming across on the video, but it has like metal flake, the gold wheels, the black trim, the pinstriping. In a lot of cases, some of the paint schemes and designs and decals and everything is overdone, and in other cases it's just right. And this is a car that really looks good. They really got a good combination here with the wheel choice, the colors. It's just a great looking car. And I think it will probably do well on the track. It's just maybe it's my wishful thinking, because the last car I really wanted to do well was that Cadillac hypercar, and it disappointed. It did not do well, but that is not going to stop me from hoping this car does well. And it probably, based on everything I've seen in all the previous races, this should do well. Let me go ahead and get the still picture. Turn it around. And get it in here. Yeah, that's probably better. And switch to photos. Zoom in, lock in the focus. There we go. The Pagani Zonda R. I remember seeing this, I believe, on an episode of, oh man, I can't think of the, there's a YouTube channel, and they were looking at this car, and this is going to be car number 644, the Pagani Zonda R. And yeah, this may be, I don't know if I've never thought about giving out my my picks or awards or anything like that, but if I had to pick sort of the best looking Hot Wheels cars that I've picked up this year, this would definitely be in the running, because I really like this one, and I hope it does well. But that is our 5th car for today, the Pagani Zonda R. Let me go ahead and see what it weighs. And 29.8 grams. So that one is there. We've got one more to go so that we can finish fleshing out our fleet. And again, if anyone wants to select a car to go up against the Wheelie Chair, the Jaguar MK1, the Custom Aztek, the BMW, or the Pagani Zonda R, or this next car that I'm going to introduce, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the Choose a Car option, and it will take you to this page. And on this page, all of the cars that are currently in the fleet are listed, and you can scroll through. There are fantasy cars, there are cars from the 80s, there are cars from the 90s, from the 2000s, and cars that I picked up just last week. There are trucks, there are fantasy castings, there are real cars, there are a couple of Matchbox cars in there, there are gold hot ones, there are faster than ever cars, there are just a range of cars. And the reason I have such a wide range of cars is because, again, I want the students to have to really think about why they are selecting the car they are selecting, and giving them a wide range of choices and options. I had one student pick this hot dog car, the Street Wiener, and surprisingly, it did pretty well. This is not a again, there are surprises all the time. I'm often surprised by how the cars perform, but there's just a range of cars, different stances, different widths, different heights, different weights, metal on metal. This is this 57 T-Bird. This is one that I had when I was a kid, and fortunately it didn't clearly I didn't play with this one as much. The ones that I played with a lot, you can tell they are much more beat up than this one appears to be. So that one's in pretty good shape. We have just a range of cars no one has picked this one yet. And I think I might have to just put that on the track just to see what happens, because this is, this is just a bizarre configuration, but it's unique. And once again, there might be a student who has some reason or rationale why they would pick this car. And ultimately, that's what it's about. I want the students to think through their choices. And even if the car ends up not doing well, they've thought through the choices. Now they can go back and examine why they think the car did or did not do well. But if you see a car in here that you think could be faster than one of the 5 cars that I've already pulled out, all you have to do is take the number of that car. It's right there in front of the car name. And take that, you drop it into the chat. I'll go and pull the car, and then we will see if your car has the chance to beat these other cars. And if it can beat all of those cars, then it can take on our fastest in fleet car, which is currently the Draftnator. Another orange car. Just waiting. Okay, let's see. What is the last car going to be for today? Let's see. We have... See, there's one... Let's see. There's another pickup truck. There is a Silverado. How about we go with... I'm going to go with this... I just like it. So I'm going to take it. I picked it up. It's going to make it into the fleet eventually. So why not today? This one from the Hot Wagon series. It's another series. It's another premium car. But it has plastic wheels, not the real riders. So I figured I like it. I'll pick it up and introduce it. Now, I can already feel just from the weight of the package that this car is heavy. It's big, it's long, it's heavy. And I don't expect it to do all that well on the track. But, again, you have to race the cars. You never know. But I kind of know with this one. Nevertheless, I'm going to crack it open. And this is going to be the 6th car to round out today's newest entrance into the fleet. So let me crack it open. All right. This is, I'm trying to see, there's something, oh, it's a dog. I think it's a dog. Yeah, I'm sure that sounds very strange, but you'll see in just a moment what I'm talking about. Wow, this might be the longest car that we've ever introduced into the fleet. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the 66 GTO Custom 66 GTO Wagon. And it is, this is a long car. Let me see if I can get positioned a little better. Wow. I think prior to this one, that Lando Calrissian Star Wars car, that Cadillac type car, I think that was previously probably the longest car that we've had, but this one is very long. So, all right, there's the Pontiac GTO. We've got the still picture. Let me shoot the video. And when I shoot the video, then you will see what I was talking about when I said, oh, I think it's a dog. Oh, it's going the wrong way. All right, there we go. Now I've got it rotating the right way. And let me lock in the focus. And as it comes around, what you'll see in the back of the car is there was something sticking out of the back, and at first I thought it was I don't know what I thought it was because I couldn't tell, but you'll see as it comes around here, it's a little red thing peeking out of the back, and it turns out it is, I think, a dog. Right there. It's a little blocked off and a little choppy, but I am still convinced it's a dog. It's supposed to be a dog. This car, it seems heavy and it seems narrow, and I just don't have great confidence that it is going to be able to compete with the cars that we have seen today, but you never know. So let me put this in. This is the Custom 66 GTO Wagon. It comes around here. They had some other wagons in the series. There was the Datsun Bluebird, which I already have a few of, an Audi Avant, the Volvo 850 Estate, and the Chevy Nova Wagon, which I also am pretty sure I have one of those. Maybe not in the fleet, but I definitely have one. So this was the only one in the series that I didn't have. Now let's see what this thing weighs. So let me grab it and let's see. This GTO weighs 53 massive grams, 53.2 massive grams for the GTO. And actually, I'll show you a close-up of what I think is the dog. See, I'm pretty sure that's a dog. I think. Yeah, of course it's a dog. Yeah, that's what it is. I can see on the video from this angle. That's definitely a dog. Okay, so we've got the dog. We've got the 53 grams. This might be the heaviest car. Not only it's got two distinctions. It's the biggest car, longest car, and it is the heaviest car, I think. If there's one that weighed in more than 53.2 grams, I would be quite surprised. So let me put the year right here, 2009. And the bottom of this, 66 GTO. So I have to make sure that the name on the bottom of the car matches and sometimes they're different, what's on the packaging versus what's on the bottom of the car, because what's on the bottom of the car is how the students are going to identify the car once they select it. So, all right, we are now ready to go to the track and check things out and see which of these cars is going to be today's fastest car, which car is going to win our tournament, and which car is going to have the potential to go up against and potentially upset the Draftnator and become the fastest in fleet car. So, just one last little piece of housekeeping to deal with, and that is our race setup. And where is it? Right here. When we come back here, that was actually the live view. What I want is the picture of what you'll be seeing, which is this. You will be seeing a view of the track that looks something like this, and we have three cameras set up. We have our start line camera on the far left, we have the middle section of our track in the middle, and we have our finish line camera on the far right. The cars will begin in the launcher at the top of the screen on the far left, I will give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race. The cars will fire out of the launcher and come racing towards the bottom of the screen. After they pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left, you can pick them up at the top of the middle section of our screen. The cars will come down, come flying through that part of the track, and after they pass out of the bottom of that middle section, you can pick them up at the top of the screen on our finish line cameras. As they race towards the finish line, they will cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated by a solid red light. A solid red light indicates the winning car. A flashing red light indicates the losing car. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and it is going to result in us finding out which of these cars is going to challenge the Draftnator. Now, we also have some rules, and the races are best 2 out of 3. If a car crashes, then that race is thrown out and the cars are set up again, and we just restart the race. If a car crashes twice consecutively, then it is eliminated and we move on, because typically if a car crashes twice consecutively, then there is a problem with that particular car and the kind of launch that it is getting, and rerunning the race isn't going to change the fact that the car is going to continue to crash. There might be a chance that it happens to stay on the track, but usually there's a reason. If a car crashes consecutively, I'll often go back, take a slow motion video, and see exactly what is happening that causes the car to crash. So that is that. We've got our 6 cars. We've got the Draftnator waiting for the winner to show up. And I think all that's left to do now is to go out to the track and start the races. So I will see you in about 30 seconds. Okay, so we're here at the track. Let me just go and double check the audio. Oh, I already see I've got a cord tangled up here. And I don't want that to affect the camera movement. Place that wire there. All right, one day soon, I'm going to have a whole workshop testing. Yep, audio's good. A whole workshop where I can just have a dedicated, have my Hot Wheels track in a separate area, all ready to go, where I don't have to make any adjustments to it during the week. But every Saturday morning before the races, I get up, come in a few hours early, and I have to clean the track, I have to align the track, run some test races just to make sure everything is where it should be so that we can have the best set of races possible. And here we are, ready to go with today's races. So let's see. We've got which cars are going to go out first. I think I'm most curious to see if the wheelie car, if it was a fluke that it stayed on the track, or if it is actually a viable car that will be able to compete week in and week out. So I think right now, we're going to go with the wheelie car versus the Aztek. And that is going to be our first race. Get these cars set up, get the launcher ready and set. We will go with the wheelie car in lane 1. And this is going to be tricky to get it set. I've got to get it pushed right up against the launching block, and sometimes the cars just don't feel like cooperating, but I got it in there. And I said the Aztek, so the wheelie chair's in lane 1, the Aztek, and here we've run into a problem. Well, oh, no, it fit in there. Okay, I was worried that the Aztek wouldn't fit in. It is just, if it were any wider, if it were a 0.5 millimeter wider, it would not fit in. It just barely made it, but when I set that one in, it moved the wheelie chair. So now I've got to re-establish the wheelie chair. And part of the issue is that these cars have to press right up against this launcher, otherwise they are not going to get a good launch. Okay, so here we go. First race of the day, we've got the wheelie chair in lane 1. We've got the custom Pontiac Aztek in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Oh, really? Well, okay, so now we've run into another dilemma. So the wheelie chair is tall. It's taller than I thought. So here's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to use the taller acrylic cover, and I think I've explained this in the past, but this acrylic cover is necessary because the cars were launched out with so much force. They tend to often shoot up into the air, and if they shoot up into the air and there's no acrylic cover to keep them on the track at the beginning, they will fly off the track and will never have a completed race. So I've adjusted. I've got the larger acrylic cover in place, and now we are going to have race number 1. It's the Pontiac Aztek, custom Pontiac Aztek in lane 1, and the wheelie chair in lane 1, custom Pontiac Aztek in lane 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Wow. Okay, both cars blasted into the barrier, the first barrier, and so that race will get tossed out. And now it's going to be, so for example, with the Aztek, I'm pretty sure that the reason it flew off is because it was using the taller cover, and there's a whole thing with the shorter cars having to use the taller cover. As for the wheelie chair, it's going to be a little bit more. Let's see, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for that one. Okay. So we're going to slide this over. So the wheelie chair is now going to have the benefit of the taller acrylic cover. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide I'm going to slide the smaller or a lower acrylic cover above the Aztek. And we'll see if that works. All right, here we go. Race number 1. Let's hope they can make it down the track. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Oh. And the wheelie chair moved slightly, so just have to re-establish that. And move the cover in. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Woo! Nice. Took a little bit of doing to get that race off, but that was a good close race, and the Wheelie Chair took the first leg. So we will switch lanes and see if the Wheelie Chair can move on, or if this Pontiac Aztek, this really good looking Pontiac Aztek, which that's a bit of an oxymoron, but let's see if we can get another good race out of these two cars. So I'm going to switch their lanes and get them lined up, get them all set up. We've got the Wheelie Chair now will be in lane number 2. The Pontiac Aztek Custom will be in lane number 1. That one's lined up. This Wheelie Chair really seems to be a temperamental car, and that it's tough to get it to stay right up against the launcher. It is not, I mean, it's ready to roll. And I think, come on, car. Shouldn't be this tough, but hey, I think it's just a unique car, and I think it's got more, it seems to be the way the weight is distributed causing it, but here we go. All right, got it lined up. We have the Wheelie Chair in lane 2. It's already up 1 race to none. We've got the custom Pontiac Aztek. I'm sorry, why do I keep getting the lanes mixed up when there are stickers right here to tell me? Wheelie Chair is in lane 2. Custom Pontiac Aztek is in lane 1. Here we go, race number 2. Three, two, one, race. And the Wheelie Chair took it. It took a little bit more on the setup to get it ready to race, but once it was ready to race, it took off, and that race was not as close as the first one, and the Wheelie Chair is moving on. A car that I, clearly and totally underestimated, is showing me that it's ready to compete at the highest Hot Wheels level. So next up, let's see. We will go with the Jaguar MK1 against the BMW. So this, a more traditional race, will result in me not having to make any special modifications or any kinds of changes to the launcher. These cars should just line up and race, but we'll see. So I'm going to put the BMW in, we'll put that one in lane 2. And then we will take the Jaguar MK1, and that one will be in lane number 1. Jaguar is a narrower car, but these cars are both lined up and ready to race. So here we go. Race number 1, the Jaguar's in lane 1, the BMW's in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Woo! Those cars both got off to a really good start, And we have the BMW took that race, so that is what we've got right there. It wasn't all that close. I could see the winner all the way. There was no question as to which car took that race, but hey, it's best 2 out of 3, and we've seen cars come back from one race down before, and perhaps that's what we'll see this time as we change lanes with these cars. So now the BMW is going to be in lane number 1, and we'll put the Jaguar in lane 2. Got those cars lined up, and here we go. Race number 2. Let's see what happens. Three, 2, 1, race. Wow. Okay, that BMW is definitely a fast car, and I am pretty surprised at the margin of victory, especially considering the fact that it seems to be a little heavier, but this Jaguar, I can't tell. See, I don't want to jump to conclusions because it's altogether possible that the Jaguar just isn't that fast. And until a car has multiple races and I've been able to see how it performs against some of the others, then, you know, it's hard to tell if it's actually a fast car or if it's just a lot faster than a slow car it raced. But nevertheless, the BMW moves on, and we are now going to have the Pagani Zonda R versus the monstrous GTO Wagon. This is a race that, just looking at it beforehand, seems totally and completely unfair. I mean, just ridiculously unfair. But hey, every car needs an opportunity to show what it can do on the track, and this is a chance for the GTO to stand up for the big, old, heavy cars. And we'll see exactly what happens if I can get it lined up. It's got the dog in the background. Maybe the dog will bring it some good luck. I don't know. But this is what we've got. The Pagani Zonda R, the best looking car that I've picked up in a long time, versus the GTO Wagon. So the GTO Wagon is in lane 2. The Pagani Zonda R is in lane 1. Here's the first race. Let's see what happens. Three, 2, 1, race. Okay. So the Pagani took the race. That was not unexpected. But that GTO was not, I mean, it lost, obviously, but it wasn't so far behind. It didn't get blown out. It was reasonably in the race, for what it's worth. Hang on, I am going to check. I have my second screen so that I can monitor the video feed is on. Let's see, let's move this right back over to here. Yeah, I have a second screen so that I can monitor the video feed, and it shows up on an iPad. And sometimes there is a bit of a disconnection, not a bit of it, the iPad disconnects, the software disconnects from my main computer, and therefore I can't see exactly what's what's happening, because I always want to keep an eye on the main feed just to make sure if there's any kind of technical problem that I can see that and address it immediately. But let's see. There was no technical problem with the Pagani Zonda R taking that first race. So we will see if it can duplicate that effort and move on. So you've got the GTO with the dog in the back. The dog didn't bring it any luck in that first race. It is the heaviest car that we have raced. And it is going up against just a classic supercar in the Pagani Zonda R. So let's get this GTO lined up. So the GTO now for race number 2. GTO is in lane 1. The Pagani is in lane 2. And here we go. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Whew. The GTO slams into the barrier, the very first barrier coming out of the launching blocks. So we will set these cars up again, throw out the results of that race. If the GTO crashes again, it will be eliminated, but gonna just go ahead and chalk that up to some bad luck and try and get it lined up here. Now let me go get the Pagani, and that car made it down the track no problem, so just consider that a test run. And we will set them up again. Okay, so let's see, what have we got here? Pagani is going to be in lane 2 once again. And here we go, race number 2. Pagani Zonda R in lane 2. The 66 GTO Wagon in lane 1. Three, two, one, race. And the GTO crashed again. So it crashed again in the exact same spot. It is a narrow, heavy car. I'm not sure what's happening when it's coming out of the starting block, but 2 consecutive crashes earns it a trip to the losers section of the track. And so now we are down to 3. We have the Pagani Zonda R. We have the BMWs. I think the year was 73, maybe. BMW. And then we have the Wheelie Chair. And I think we are going to go Pagani versus Wheelie Chair and see how that works out. I am going to have to use the same setup with the larger acrylic cover. Let me just check the tracks, make sure everything's still okay. So I will set this up, and we will put the Wheelie Chair in lane number 1, the Pagani in lane number 2. See what happens. Okay, Pagani, lane number 2, Wheelie Chair, the Wheelie Chair, just a stubborn vehicle, refusing to stay in place time after time. Come on, Wheelie Chair, make this easy on me. All right, there we go. All right, so we've got the Wheelie Chair in lane 1, Pagani Zonda R in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. That race was close, but the Pagani took it, and we will see what happens in this next race. Can the Wheelie Chair stick around and defeat the Pagani, or will it be a one and done car? Either way, it's still good to know that that the Wheelie Chair is a viable and pretty fast option, because that was a close race. So let's go ahead and switch sides here and get the Zonda R in lane number 1. And then the Wheelie Chair in lane number 2. All right, so the Wheelie Chair actually went in pretty easily. And the Pagani Zonda R is also in. So the Zonda R is in lane 1. We've got the Wheelie Chair in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Race number 2, the Pagani is up 1 race to none. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Oh. And the Pagani Zonda R is indicated by the solid red light. Took that race and will be moving on to face off against the BMW and the Wheelie Chair. Solid effort, and it's possible, looking at that race and that speed, that the Wheelie Chair, I think it could compete and could probably beat many other cars that we've seen race, but it just didn't have enough to beat the Zonda R. And when I go back and look at the footage and the video and slow it down, I may see that, let's say both of these cars were moving at the same speed and it was a relatively close race. Does the fact that the Wheelie Chair is so much shorter, does that hurt it? I couldn't tell from my angle if the race was close enough that maybe the length of the Pagani enabled it to cross the finish line a little faster, or at least trigger the sensor on the finish line ahead of the Wheelie Chair. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at the footage, but the Wheelie Chair made a good accounting of itself, but it was not fast enough to win. So now we're going to go Pagani Zonda R versus the 73 BMW 3.0 CSL Race Car. And the BMW will be in lane number 2. And the Zonda R is in lane 1. This is the finals. Here we go. Race number 1. Three, two, one, race. Woo. Pagani Zonda R takes the first race in the finals. If it can take this next one, it is going to be today's champion, and it will move on to face the Draftnator. But it still has to finish the job. It has to beat the BMW one more time. Can it do it? I don't know. We're going to find out. All right. Get these cars set up. We have the here. Let's what do we just have? Okay, so now the BMW is in lane 1. The Pagani Zonda R is in lane number 2. And we are going to get it set up. Hopefully. I gotta get these cars pressed right up against that launching block because they need a large surface area to press up against. All right. We've got them lined up. We've got the Pagani Zonda R in lane 2. We have the 73 BMW in lane 1. This is race number 2. If the Pagani takes it, it's today's champion. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Whew. Pagani, no problem whatsoever. It took that race with ease and is today's champion, and is now going to see if it can knock out the Draftnator, our current fastest in fleet car, the car that has been our fastest in fleet for the past 3 weeks or so. And it is now time to see if the Draftnator is ready. Is it ready for the Zonda R? This is a good matchup. Good, solid matchup. We're going to see. The Draftnator hasn't had too much in the way of stiff competition these last few weeks, but I think today it's going to be challenged. So we got the Pagani Zonda R lined up in lane number 2. We've got the Draftnator, our fastest in fleet car, lined up in lane number 1. This is it, the first race for the fastest in fleet championship. Here we go, race number 1. Three, two, one, race. Whew. The Draftnator said, hold on, just wait a minute. Let's not get carried away because this is still my track. I am still the current reigning defending champion. And in order to beat me, a car is going to have to put in the performance of a lifetime. And the Zonda R, it's been performing well, but it was beaten in that race, and it wasn't particularly close. It was competitive, but it wasn't close. So now we're going to switch lanes, see if the Zonda can step up and actually force a third race. So we've got the Zonda R in lane 1. We have the Draftnator in lane number 2. Here we go. If the Draftnator takes it, the Draftnator remains our champion. If the Zonda R manages to win, we're going to a third and final race. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Wow. Draftnator, leaving no doubt at all which car is the fastest in fleet, which car is our champion, and which car looks like it is going to stay on top for a while. The Draftnator takes it, remains our fastest in fleet. I'm going to collect these cars, get back in the garage, and I'll be right back in just a few seconds. Okay, so the Draftnator, once again, is our fastest in fleet car. Let me get the focus on the Champ. Champ deserves our focus and our attention. So I've got the focus locked in. We've got some lights on the Champ. And the Draftnator, just, it's hard for me to see how, not how, I'm sure there's a car that's faster than the Draftnator. And that first race was kind of close. But I think with the Draftnator, if I'm not mistaken, it's a plastic body on a metal base, and it's just a fast car. And it's in one case where the little gimmick marketing thing on the bottom right there, that hang on, let me hold it still. This little symbol right there, that fastest in track or best for track, I forget what the terminology is, but it indicates like these are best on the track. Well, usually that seems to just be a little bit of Mattel marketing. In this case, it's pretty accurate, because this car is definitely one of the faster cars that I've seen. And again, why do I keep taking the focus off? Let me put the focus back on the Champ. Lock it in right there. The Draftnator. And I think that it will be some time. I just don't, we've had a range of different cars, and looking at some of the cars that may be on deck for next week, I don't know that I see any that look like serious challengers. Now, I am going to try and pull some of my older cars and see if there are cars from the 90s that I have forgotten about that will be able to challenge the Draftnator, but I don't know. It doesn't look like the Draftnator is ready to give up its position as fastest in fleet anytime soon. However, while I haven't been able to find a car faster than the Draftnator, it's possible that you can find a car faster than the Draftnator. And if you think you can, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, go down to choose a car. When you get to choose a car, you will be taken to a page where you can choose from one of over 600, well, not over, one of 644 different cars. And odds are there is one in here that is faster than the Draftnator, but I haven't found it. And I will only be racing the Draftnator against cars that are new to the fleet. You, however, can scroll through, find a car that you think might be able to challenge the Draftnator, and you just take the number of that car, you drop it into the chat, and when you do that, I will pull that car, and we will see if you are correct. And if you are correct, hey, but see, before you can even challenge the Draftnator, your car has to beat whatever 6 cars I introduce next week. That's the way it goes. You don't get to just walk in and challenge the champ. You have to earn that right. And to earn that right, you have to beat the other cars that are in line to challenge the champ. So, the Draftnator is and remains our fastest in fleet car. It is awaiting a challenge. Perhaps you are the person who has that car in mind. We did have a surprise from the, where is it? The Wheelie Chair, which the fact that it makes it down the track, oops. The fact that it makes it down the track is impressive, because with the force these cars are shot out of the launcher with, and just the overall design of the Wheelie Chair, I really didn't expect it to even be able to make it down the track. I thought the force, much like with the Minecraft minecart, I just thought the force would send this thing bouncing around and flying off the track, and it wouldn't have an opportunity to even be considered a competitive car. But there it is. You saw it for yourself. It made it down the track. It won its first heat, and then it was pretty close in the second matchup that it had. But we saw how the races ultimately went. We had the Pagani Zonda R, which is just a gorgeous car. Love it. And it was in the running for a little while, but it ultimately could not defeat the again, the focus. Let's get the focus in on the car right there. Very good. It ultimately couldn't defeat the Draftnator, and that's not to say bad things about the Zonda, because no car has been able to defeat the Draftnator, not thus far. So we will see if any of these cars can beat it out. That's a little bit, I adjusted the exposure, and so you can get a better look at the Zonda. But the Zonda is not the champ. The Draftnator is the champ. So once again, we have the Draftnator is gonna keep moving on until someone can pick a car that can beat it, or until I can find a car that can beat it. And in the meantime, if you want to keep up with everything happening with AtTheTrack.live and all about aerodynamics, you can visit our Instagram account, AA Aerodynamics, and there will be updates, and there's a calendar on the AtTheTrack. If you go to AtTheTrack.live, there's a calendar at the bottom of the page that shows when we're going to be racing. But essentially, it's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. There will be 6 cars introduced. I will race those. We'll see if any of those can challenge for the fastest in fleet title. And you have the opportunity to go to AtTheTrack.live, go to choose a car, find a car that you think can compete with the cars that I am going to open up. And during the week, excuse me, on Instagram, I will do little previews of cars that are going to be racing that Saturday. And we have a few more from my Georgia trip that still need to be cracked open and will probably be entered in. And then some others that were in the storage bin that I haven't had a chance to open up and catalog and bring to the track yet. So until next week. I am Coach James for At The Track Live and All About Aerodynamics. And until then, I'll see you at the races.